What's up, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the podcast. This episode might be the most important one yet. There's so much important information in this one that really is the bulk of the reasoning why I see people not either not launch their career in music or throw in the towel and quit. So this episode is jam-packed full of crazy concepts and getting your mind in the right place to help you succeed at whatever it is that you're doing in music. And it's not just meant for music. Honestly, that most of this could apply to pretty much any entrepreneurial field that there is. So let's get to it. If you haven't already, I would love it if you would subscribe to the YouTube channel. Wherever you're listening or wherever you're watching, go over to YouTube, and if you just type in Colt Capperrune, I'll be the only person that pulls up because I'm the only one in the world, and it's a little lonely. No, I'm joking. Anyway, if you could hit up the YouTube channel and hit subscribe and then hit the little bell icon next to the subscribe so that way you get notified when I release new episodes, I would really, really appreciate it. The channel's been growing consistently every single episode, and it means the world to me. But you guys subscribing and giving me thumbs up and dropping me comments, whether you like it or hate it, it's what allows me to keep doing this. So love it if you would subscribe to the YouTube channel. It means the world to me. Thank you. Hit me up on Instagram, just at Colt Capperrune. Hit me up on Facebook, at Colt Capperrune. And if you don't already know, I'm a producer, I'm a mix engineer, I'm a session guitarist, and I do some mastering here in Nashville. This is my studio for the next couple weeks. I'm building a new room, and I'm about ready to move. A couple more weeks, and I'll shut this room down. And I'll be documenting the move on the YouTube channel and the studio build and all of that stuff. So it's something that you don't want to miss. So if you want to know more about me or check out some of my work, you can hear like befores and afters of songs that I've produced, stuff like that. Hit up coltcapperrune.com, and wherever it is that you're watching or wherever it is that you're listening, you can see how to spell my crazy last name, either right below the video or right above the video. Or if you're listening on like Apple Podcasts or whatever, the name is in the channel. So, okay, let's do this. I see constantly, and I have been involved in this myself many times throughout my career, a couple times throughout my career. And then I've done this the other way a couple times. So the thing that I see so many artists, so many producers, so many engineers, so many songwriters, everyone, the thing that I see holding so many people back is waiting for the right fill in the blank, waiting for the right microphone, waiting for the right studio, waiting for the right song or the right show opportunity, waiting if I can just get this thing, if I can just get to this spot, then I'll start. I see that so often, and I really, really believe it's one of the most drastic, I don't even know what I'm trying. It's early. I just woke up. It's one of the biggest things that I see hold artists back and hold everyone back. Everyone entrepreneurial back is this waiting for this one thing. And I used to be like this in a certain way. It was just always, if I just get this compressor, then I can be successful. If I just got this microphone, then I can make good sounding music. If I just wrote this song, then more people will want to come see my band play. More people will buy, and so we should always be striving for the best that we can possibly be, the best that we can possibly do. We should always be pushing for that. However, you should never let that be the source or the reason why you don't start what it is that you want to do right now. I think that is like, it's such a big thing, and it's kind of a subtle thing. Like, I don't think a lot of people realize that it's even happening to them, but it is so important. It is the most important reason, the biggest reason why people don't launch their career is they're waiting for a thing. Whatever that thing is, fill in the blank. Whatever it is that you've been thinking, if I could just do this, if I could just, once I move to Nashville, I'll try then. And once I need to do this before I can start. And no, just start. That's like the most important thing that I can possibly say. A lot of people, and again, tons, and like I've been in this situation myself so many times. A lot of people are really afraid of sucking, which is the title of the episode, why it's important to suck. So many people are so afraid of sucking that they never end up doing anything. For those of you that don't know, I write out notes for every single episode because it's really hard to talk to a camera for 45 minutes and stay on track. However, I'm going to go off track right now because it feels like the right opportunity. A part of another trap that I see people get stuck in is, so I was in a band. This has been, 15 years ago, probably 15 years ago. I was in a band, original band, hard rock band. And we, in a nutshell, I joined the band. The band had just released an album. They needed another guitar player to tour. And they were already talking to some management companies. They were already talking to some labels. Like the album was good. Like things were about ready to go for this band. And so they brought on a new bass player and me as an additional guitar player. And then the members in the band at the time, they decided, and this is not me patting myself on the back whatsoever, they decided that since I was a new addition to the band and I had done some songwriting in my previous band that went over pretty well, and the bass player that also joined at the same time that I did was a pretty competent musician and songwriter as well. And so they decided that rather than go forward with the album that was ready to go, it was getting released, there were talks of management, all kinds of stuff, rather than just move forward with that album and hit the road and make a real go at the career, that they would pull back and they would play some shows on this new record, but we, as a band, would write a new record because what we were probably capable of was better than the other album that was either just come out or was about ready to come out. And that was a massive, massive mistake. I didn't know the difference back then, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, this was seriously 15 years ago or maybe more. I didn't know the difference back then. I was like, cool. They like me enough that they want to basically create an entire new album to launch the band because I'm now in the band. That was fantastic. How could I say no to that? Now looking back, and I'm going to get back to that and talk more about this particular band in detail. But now I realize that was the reason why the band didn't go anywhere. The other thing that was an issue with that particular band, and I'm saying this because I want you guys to know that most of everything I talk about in these episodes, they come from actual personal experience. I've actually been through all this stuff. I actually made my living as an artist and as a musician and as a producer, and I've done all of this stuff. And so all of this is coming from a place of I've been there. I've actually been in that situation and I've actually done that. And so I feel like I have kind of a unique perspective to help those of you listening or watching navigate some of these things. Most of this stuff comes from when 15 years ago when I was in this band, what do I wish someone would have told me? What do I wish I would have had a mentor, and a mentor would have came up to me and been like, hey, you, stop that. So that's really the source of most of these topics. The other issue with that particular band, and this is a huge issue that I see all around me with producers and songwriters and mix engineers, and working through something to completion is the only way that you can grow. If you're practicing being a lyricist, or if you're practicing being a producer, you cannot grow, at least not very much. You cannot grow until you have completed a work, and then you've put it out into the ether, and you can separate yourself from it for a few weeks, a few months, whatever, and then you revisit it, and you can look at it with some fresh ears. You've gotten feedback from all your friends and family and fans and whatever, and then you can really figure out what you could have done better. It's so much more obvious what you could have done better after you've finished it, you've released it, and then you revisit it. And that process, I talk a lot about how to get from like point A, wherever you are, to like your goal, your finish line, as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible, and finishing stuff to completely finishing something to completion and releasing it, and then analyzing it down the road is by far the fastest, most efficient way to grow with whatever it is that you're doing. You can't figure out what could have been better about it if you don't finish it and release it. And so a big problem with that band, and I'm not like gonna point, like I'm not gonna be like, oh, this member was this, no band drama, but a big issue with that band was that we would get a song 70% or 80% of the way done. We'd have the demos done, and then someone in the band would present another song idea, and we're like, oh, that's so much better than that last song. Let's do that. And then we would take that song to 70 or 80%. And then before that song was finished, someone else would present another idea. And then we would be like, oh, that idea, that's going to be a way better song than that song was. And so then we would move over to that song. And that was a massive, massive issue with that band. The fact that we didn't move forward and tour on the first album, and the fact that we continually were like, squirrel with the songs, not completing stuff and not just going for it with what we had is the reason why that band ended up not working. I really believed in that band. I really believed that we had potential. I still, to this day, think that if we would have just went out and toured on the first album, that things would have went really, really well for that band. And so, again, I'm coming at this from experience with, I've already been there, and I've already been a part of a project that failed because of these things. And so I'm hoping that this helps some of you. So anyway, you have to complete something in order to learn from it. You cannot learn from something. You don't necessarily learn from the process on its own. You learn from the process and from completing and then reflecting. You learn from those, reflecting back on what it is that you do and reflecting on what could have been better. That's what you learn from, not from just the process of creation. So work all the way through stuff, complete it, release it, then reflect on it. That is like, I know I'm sounding like a broken record right now because we're already like 15 minutes into this thing, but that is like, that's really, really, really important. And so because of all of these things that I've talked about so far, a lot of people have an issue getting off the ground. And I think it's so, so important to, wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing, start. Just start right now, every single day, one foot in front of the other. I'm not that great of a songwriter yet. I don't really, I don't have that good of stage presence yet. I don't play guitar that well yet. My mixes aren't that good yet. You could say whatever you want, but it doesn't matter, because you will not. If there's one thing that you can take away from this, please let it be this. you will not get to your ultimate goal, wherever it is that you ultimately want to be. You will not get there if you don't work through the process, creating stuff, finishing it, releasing it, and reflecting on it. You will not get to your ultimate goal if you're not doing that, because you can't possibly grow enough to ever reach your goal if you're not working through all those steps of the process. So, there's been a whole bunch of things throughout hold on a second. Have I discussed my sponsor, Pepsi Cola? I'm going to do this every single episode until someone gives me a Pepsi sponsorship. There's been a whole bunch of things throughout my career. I've been doing this 18 years. I've been doing this music thing 18 years. I produced my first record 18 years ago, 17 and a half years ago. I wrote my first record 18 years ago. So there's been a whole bunch of things throughout my career and throughout these years that I've experienced. So I want to give you an example of some things that I have worked through to completion and what exactly it has helped me. So when Facebook, this is a kind of a funny one. When Facebook first introduced the live feature where you could go live on Facebook, live streaming, first of all, it annoyed me to no end because I was getting notifications every 12 seconds from everyone that I was friends with, and they were going live and just like showing their cat or like, just stupid stuff that didn't mean anything. Anyway, a few months after Facebook introduced these live videos, I realized that it was a really good opportunity to connect with people on social media, people that I had not met yet. And so I decided I was going to start doing Facebook Lives. And they certainly weren't like this. They didn't look like this. They didn't sound like this. But I was going to do I started doing Q&As where people who were following me would ask questions and I would just kind of answer questions. And sometimes I had a topic to talk about. But I started doing these once a week. And just the other day, I kind of scrolled back through some old Facebook Lives, and they're terrible. They're really, really, really terrible. I'm going to talk about creatively and technically the issues that I had and why it's gotten me where I am. First of all, they looked awful. The lighting that you see right now, the way that this looks, they didn't look like that. It looked like I was in a dark closet. And the sound quality was awful. And me being on camera and talking, it was terrible. It I don't know why anyone watched it. It was awful. They were really, really bad. If you guys follow me on Facebook, you can scroll back through and they're all still up. You can find some of my earliest live videos and they were terrible. But I was not waiting for a good streaming camera. I wasn't waiting for the right lights. I wasn't waiting for the right opportunity. I wasn't going and taking speech classes and practicing in the mirror and then once I get good at public speaking or once I have these lights or no, I just started doing it. I just started. I thought this will be cool. And so I did it. And what I didn't realize is those Facebook Live videos would end up leading me to this and would lead me to, it. Let's just go through it. The most important thing that it did for me was it helped me be able to form clear, well thought out thoughts. I don't know if that's even how you would say that. It really helped me put my thoughts together, and it really helped me nail down, it really helped me learn how to break down what I think about things in a way that I can explain them. And, excuse me, it's a learning process. I'm still learning that. I learn from every single episode that I do here. But really, those first like 8 or 10 episodes of Facebook Lives way back in the day, however many years ago that was really the beginning of me being able to figure out how to have a complete thought and how to clearly present it to someone else. That was important for me as a person. That was important for me like in life. It was important for me to gain clients. It was important. I mean, just that part of it, just learning how to create a complete thought and present it was such an enormous learning experience for me that I wouldn't have ever done if I didn't just start. It helped me learn how to talk publicly. Like I said, I didn't take no speech classes. I've literally never had a speech class in my entire life. But those Facebook Live videos, as they got better and as I got better, and as my thoughts got better and my presentation got better, those Facebook Live videos single-handedly ended up getting me speaking gigs at like Belmont. Like I went and spoke at Belmont to hundreds of kids about how to make a living in the modern music era was the name of the talk. That would have never happened. I would have never been able to just go to Belmont University and speak to hundreds of kids if I hadn't started doing these Facebook Live videos. You can take all of this and you can pertain it to anything that you do. The point I'm trying to get across is that you just start. You just have to start. Then I started figuring out like, oh, well, I need some better lighting because this looks like I'm in a dark closet. And like, how do I frame my shot better? And like, it let me get in front of way, way more potential clients. It allowed me to have somewhat of a more of a personal relationship through this digital medium with potential clients. It just did a whole bunch of things for me, and it did all of that. I'm not saying that you need to go do Facebook Live videos or that you need to do a podcast or anything else. What I'm saying is the fact that I didn't wait for everything to be lined up and for everything to be perfect, the fact that I didn't wait is the reason why I'm right here doing this at whatever quality level I'm doing this, and it gave me opportunities for more clients, gave me opportunities to speak at universities. I mean, on and on and on. It was such an important thing. So that's one example. Another example is like my very first record that I ever produced. What launched my career, single-handedly launched my career, was I was in a band. I was 18, and we wrote a record. And I didn't come from money. I came from a legitimately poor family. And everyone else in the band didn't come from money. So we wrote a record, and we were going to go to a studio and have them, a studio in town back in Illinois where I'm from, and we were going to have them record the record, have someone produce us. And we went and talked to them, and it was going to be like $5,000 or something to do a full like 12-song album. Which now I know is a very, very, very small amount of money for a 12-song album. However, we didn't have that money. We were just a bunch of broke kids barely out of high school. And so I was working at a music store at the time, and they would let me put some gear on an account and make payments on it. And so I just got a few microphones, cheap microphones, like the cheapest budget pack microphones that you could buy. And I got a hard disk recorder. The hard disk recorders were just like becoming a thing. I got a 16-track hard disk recorder that was, it was like the newest thing out there. But I got those couple things and I put them on an account so I could make payments on them. And I'm like, I have this issue where if anyone else can do it, I'm like, well, they're not any smarter than me. I can figure it out too, which has created a lot of opportunities for me in my life and has also created a lot of hardships for me in my life. So it's not really an approach I would recommend. However, I produced and engineered and mixed my band's first record on my own. I took my time. I did it as best as I could do it. I kept comparing it to other huge records, and I wanted it to sound that good. And obviously I wasn't even in the ballpark, but I just did the record. We released that record, and it did okay for a local band, for a bunch of kids in a local band. And like literally weeks after we released it, another band in town heard it, and they're like, that sounds really good. You want to produce our record? And I'm like, hell yeah. So I produced my first record for my first client. I started just like weeks after I finished my first record. And then that trend just kept going. And then another band, and then another band, and then another band. And then, 3 years later, maybe down the road, I ended up getting hired on / becoming a partner with a local studio in town. And that was the launch of my career. And none of that would have happened if I didn't just start. I didn't which is a little counterintuitive, because I'm always like, if you want to take your career seriously, do work with serious people. But the point is I didn't have that ability. I didn't have the ability to come up with the money to do it. It literally wasn't an option. It would have been years before me and my bandmates could have worked up the cash to hire a real legitimately, because it wouldn't have even been the local guy that we talked to, a real legitimate producer. It would have been literal years. And so there's this balance between like doing the very best you can and like waiting and investing and all of this stuff, and just start right now, go. The interesting thing about this music stuff is there's no right or wrong answer. There's no same path for any two people. It is different for every single person, and exactly what is right for you is not what was right for me. But anyway, it's another example of the reason why, like, something that I went through where I was like, just go right now, start. And it literally launched my career. So the main thing, most of these episodes are leaning towards helping artists, newer artists, help launch their career and how to take your career further. I see so many artists that they want to be artists or they want to be songwriters, but they're not releasing music. I have clients, and it's not a big percentage of them. So like in 2018, just to give you some perspective, in 2018, I worked on 154 songs. So I have a lot of clients, and I have a lot of clients every single year. But I have a couple clients who have had me fully produce out songs for them, and also have fully produced songs from other producers. And we're talking top shelf players, A-listers. The song is good. The production is good. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but like, I'm a pretty competent producer and mix engineer. These are great productions, and they have not released them. And the reason why they've not released them is because they keep waiting for just the right thing. Now, I think this is cool. In one sense, you should release the right song for you as an artist. You should make sure that it's the best it can be. However, if waiting for the right song and waiting for the right production and all that stuff is keeping you from ever even starting, then you're missing the mark. You have to start releasing music. I posted a video from Gary Vaynerchuk the other day on my Facebook. And those of you that don't know Gary Vaynerchuk, he's an intense individual. We'll say it that way. I like a lot of his approaches. It ended up being quite the controversial post because some people are like, what does Gary V know about the music industry? And I get that. I understand that. But there are a lot of parallels between just being an entrepreneur of any type and being a songwriter or being an artist or being a producer. Like, we're all entrepreneurs. We all run our own business. And so, he was just throttling this guy that had called in for like, just start releasing music. Go book studio time, go into the studio, record a song, release a song, because you cannot get anywhere as an artist, if you're not releasing music, and he was super intense and swearing his ass off, and but I think he's right. I think he's right because a lot of people are so afraid that what they're going to release will not be received well. What they're going to release is going to suck. They're so afraid of sucking. They're so self-conscious about their music and putting themselves out there as an artist, releasing their art, that they just don't ever do it. And that's really the inspiration for this whole episode is I want people to realize that you have to start. You have to start. And it doesn't really matter where you're at in your career. You cannot launch a career in whatever it is that you're doing if you're not actually doing it, if you're not actually working things through to completion, and then putting it out there for the world to see and then reflecting on what it is that you do. It's the most important part of getting anywhere within our career within music. So like if you're an artist, yes, you should release the very best song that you can, but write 100 songs, pick the best one and release it. End of story. Just release it. Just have it professionally produced. If you can afford to do so, you should absolutely have it professionally produced, and just get it out there because you can't start if you're not getting it out there. Now, there's a lot of debate on the whole marketing strategy and the strategy of a release and like having a marketing budget and radio promoters. And this is a really in-depth topic that I would like to address in another episode. Yes, if you can, you should have a marketing budget. Yes, if you can, you should hire a radio promoter. Yes, if you can, you should have like PR. Yes, all of these things. However, if you don't have the budget for that stuff, if you don't have $4,000 for a radio promo, if you don't have thousands of dollars for Google ads and for a music video that costs $5,000 for a good one, if you don't have the money for that stuff, and it's going to be a long time, I think the balance here is you should not wait years to save that money up just so that way you can do it right. Because a lot of times new artists, like brand new artists, your first release, a lot of times your first release is not even worthy of putting that kind of money behind. It's not, usually your first release is not worthy of putting $4,000 into a radio promo because it's your first release. You have to work through the process multiple times in order to grow. And you can't be afraid to start that process. You have to start that process. So write 100 songs, pick the best one, release it. If you need a producer or you're unsure of what producers cost, drop a comment below wherever you're listening or watching, and like let's talk. And if I'm not the right guy or if I'm out of your budget, I will point you in the direction of someone that I think is the right guy or that is within your budget. But just start, because I would rather see an artist release a single, one single song, release a single that was competently produced and mixed, and release it and not do any marketing. If it's your first release, if you've never released anything before, I would rather see someone release a song and not do any marketing, no music video, no promo, no nothing. And just use your socials to drive it. I would rather see that than see an artist who waits 2 years to release a song because they think that they have to do all of this stuff and they have to save all of this money up. The fans that you can gain working and the places that you can go if you just start releasing music across that maybe 2-year span is huge. You should just start. Just start, because you can't gain fans if you're not starting. I'm seriously starting to beat a dead horse here. And the other thing is, like, I think I just kind of touched on this. You might not be ready for a marketing budget. It's okay for you to be a new artist. It's okay. There are huge artists, huge #1 A-list artists right now who have released 5 EPs, before their first single actually blew up. 5 EPs. And it was necessary to become a good recording artist, to become a better songwriter, to figure out what people react to and how to hit people the right way. And this goes for producers as well. Over 18 years, I have released, I don't even know, thousands and thousands of songs as a producer, like literally thousands of songs. And because of those thousands of songs, I have been able to see time and time and time again, that song did literally nothing. Why didn't that song do anything? That song was Billboard Top 40. Why did that song hit Billboard Top 40? This song was a #1 on iTunes. Why? That song did literally nothing. Why? And it's literally been that over and over and over across thousands of songs that now lets me have a really, really pretty clear understanding of like, okay, if we do X, Y, and Z, we're going to do great. And we're going to release a song that at least has the potential to go somewhere. You as an artist, you absolutely have to work through that process and experience that same thing for yourself. So this kind of leads me to the next point. This video is getting long. This kind of leads me to my next point. It's, there's 2 real ways that artists get developed. And we're almost done here. There's the grassroots approach where people literally just start releasing music. They start playing shows. They start building a fan base, and they just go. They start posting on social media. They just go. And then there's the people that get developed behind the scenes where like you'll see an artist that has some potential, they got some talent, and they'll like disappear. And maybe they're still posting on their socials, but they're not releasing any music for years. And then all of a sudden they get launched and they have a single and it goes poof and blows up. Excuse me. Those are really the 2 approaches. The first approach, the grassroots approach is, in my opinion, really the approach to go with. It really helps you identify, like it really helps you build your career, build real fans, and you can start on that right now. The other way takes money, a lot of money, investors, managers, labels. It takes a lot of money. You either have to have someone that's willing to invest tens of thousands or millions of dollars into you, or you have to have your own investor and do it that way. The issue between this grassroots approach and this like blowing up approach is that the grassroots approach is really the better way to build a solid career, to build a career that has the greatest chance of longevity. One-hit wonders come from the other approach, where you get developed and developed and developed, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's a song. And then can you top that? Do you really even know what your fan base reacts to? No, you don't, because you've spent all this time getting developed behind the scenes. You have no idea what your fan base reacts to because 100% of your fan base is brand new. And that, to me, that creates the potential for one-hit wonders like so much more drastically, because you don't actually have a real grasp on what it is that you are as an artist or what it is that you are as a producer or whatever. I'm much rather, honestly, and especially in today's day and age where you don't really need a label, I would much rather see people release music and use the grassroots approach and get somewhere like that. The other thing that's important to remember about this whole thing is like, you got to build, you should build your social media. Social media is like the most powerful tool that you have as an entrepreneur, by far the most powerful tool, and you should absolutely take advantage of it. But you can't wait until you get a super great camera, or you can't wait until like, oh, I got to go do these photo shoots and I'm not going to post anything until I pay thousands of dollars for a photo shoot. Or just start. Because the one thing that is important is like, you don't really know yet what your social media followers are going to react to until you've posted hundreds or thousands of times. The only reason I've been able to build my social media to where it is I've been super consistent about posting like at least multiple times a week for years now. And same thing with the producer thing. I've been able to identify I'm almost to 1,000 posts on Instagram, I think. I post something and I'm like, oh, that did really well. Why? Why did that do really well? Oh, I posted this. It didn't do very well at all. Why? Was it the time of day? Was it the hashtags? Was it the caption? Was it the photo itself, the framing, the composition? Was it the lighting? Was it the editing? Was it what the photo was actually of? Was it the story that it told? Did it not tell any story? Kind of run through this mental checklist of every single post, and you start creating like data points over the years, and you start figuring out what people react to. If you don't ever start releasing music, if you don't ever start producing, if you don't ever start just posting on social media, you will never have those data points and be able to then step back, zoom out, and say, this worked, this didn't work, this didn't work, this worked. Why? Why did these things work and why did these things not work? You don't have that perspective if you never start. The other thing, like I've talked about this in previous episodes, the other thing is like, it's so important to build relationships with people within the industry, with artists, with other producers, regardless of what it is that you do. It's important to build relationships, and you can't build relationships if you don't just start going out and meeting people. When I first moved to Nashville, my goal was to have coffee 3 times a week with someone I've never met. It's been years now, and that's been my goal this whole time. My battery is just about running, so if you see me keep looking up, I'm like, oh God, I gotta hurry. This video's gone on pretty much long enough, so let me bust through this real quick. I just started just shooting people messages. Hey, people within the industry, other producers, songwriters, artists. Hey, you want to go have coffee? Let's go have coffee. Love to meet you in person. You can't build relationships if you don't just start doing that. Like, you can't wait. Like, if I'm a producer, and I am a producer, if I'm a producer, and if I was like, oh, I gotta wait till I have my first #1 or till I have my first big label credit, or I gotta wait till whatever before I can go have coffee with artists and then they'll take me seriously. No, screw that. Just go have coffee with people. Just start building relationships. Start posting on your socials. Start releasing music. Start producing music. Start mixing music. Start playing shows. Do all of it. Playing shows is another one that I should probably touch on real quick. You will not become a comfortable, seasoned artist on stage if you don't play shows. So waiting until you have a full album of material and then trying to go get nationally opening slots for nationally touring artists, like, it doesn't work that way, because you're gonna suck. You're gonna suck when you first start playing on stage. There's no way around it. You literally cannot avoid it. It's gonna happen. So you might as well just start. Go get yourself in a cover band, or start playing acoustic gigs, or whatever it is that you need to do. Just start playing shows constantly. You have to get over that fear of sucking, and that fear of, if I just have this thing, fill in the blank, whatever that thing is. You have to get past that, and you just have to start doing it right now. Whatever it is that you're doing, start right now. When you get done watching this or listening to this, I want you to get a piece of paper and write down what it is that you're going to do next. What's the very next thing that you need to do for whatever it is that you're doing as a producer, as a mix engineer, as an artist, as a songwriter? What is the next thing that you need to do to further your career? It doesn't have to be a big goal. It can be a small goal. It can be an easy to achieve goal. What's the very next thing? And after you write that down, I want you to leave a comment. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, I want you to leave a comment telling me exactly what that thing is. What is it that you are going to do next to help further your career? Super important. Start right now. Start doing what it is that your ultimate goal is. Start right now and work things through to completion and put them out there. The best of your ability, do it as well as you can do it, but do it right now. And then reflect What could have been better about that? How could I have made that better? How could I have made that appeal to more people? How could I have done a better job promoting that? How could I have written that song better? How could I have sang that better? How could I have mixed that better? How could I have mic'd that snare drum better? You have to finish. Finish stuff, reflect, make adjustments for the next project or the next whatever it is that you do. Take that knowledge that you learned from the first one, put it into the second one. Finish the second one. Reflect on the second one, take that knowledge and put it into the third one. And do this over and over and over. And I promise you it will work. I promise you, you will get somewhere with it. I promise you, you will grow faster by doing this. I promise you, this is the most efficient way to get from wherever you are to wherever it is that you're trying to go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, if you haven't already, I'd love it if you'd subscribe. Hit up my YouTube and hit subscribe and hit the bell icon next to the subscribe tab. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope this helps someone. If it did, if it helped you, share it with your friends. It would mean the world to me. And seriously, drop me a comment and let me know what it is that you're doing next to further what it is that you're trying to do. All right, we'll see you guys later.